The Clean Label project tested 134 protein powder products sold in the United States in 2023 and found detectable levels of bisphenol A in 55 of them. BPA is classified by the Endocrine Society as an endocrine-disrupting compound that interferes with hormonal signaling at exposure levels below the EPA's current reference dose. The EPA reference dose for BPA was established in 1988 and has not been revised. The 5 products covered in this investigation are among the highest-selling protein supplements in U.S. retail. Each one appears on shelves under marketing language that positions it as clean, functional fuel. What the independent lab found inside is documented below, alongside the regulatory structure that permitted those findings to remain off the label. One product at the end of this investigation cleared every threshold the others failed. Muscle milk, Hormel Foods. In 2010, ConsumerLab.com, a third-party supplement testing laboratory based in White Plains, New York, published the results of independent analysis conducted on protein supplements purchased directly from U.S. retail. Muscle milk chocolate powder returned a lead result of 13.5 micrograms per serving in that testing. California's Proposition 65 maximum allowable daily intake of lead without a mandatory on-label warning is 0.5 micrograms per day. The muscle milk result was 27 times that ceiling. The product was sold nationally without a Proposition 65 warning at the time of testing and without any lead disclosure on the label. Consumer Lab also detected cadmium and arsenic in the same product at levels it flagged as elevated relative to other products in the same test pool. Cytosport, the company manufacturing muscle milk in 2010, disputed the Consumer Lab findings. No recall was issued. No label revision followed. No FDA enforcement action was taken against the product. The absence of enforcement was not an oversight. Under the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994, the FDA is not authorized to require pre-market safety testing for supplements. The burden of proving a supplement unsafe rests with the FDA after the product is already in distribution, not with the manufacturer before it ships. A company can dispute independent lab findings and keep its product on shelves while the regulatory process works through a framework designed to give it that option. The Center for Science in the Public Interest sent a formal warning letter to Cytosport in 2010, citing the Consumer Lab results and demanding that the company suspend health-related marketing claims until independent safety testing could confirm the product was within acceptable limits for heavy metals. Cytosport did not suspend marketing. The product continued to be sold under a brand identity centered on athletic performance and nutritional quality, while the dispute over its lead content remained unresolved in any public regulatory record. Hormel Foods acquired Cytosport in 2014 for $450 million. The muscle milk brand continued under Hormel without a publicly announced formula audit, without a reset of the product's safety record, and without any acknowledgement of the 2010 Consumer Lab findings in Hormel's acquisition communications or investor materials. The current Muscle Milk Genuine Protein Shake lists water, milk, protein concentrate, calcium caseinate, and cocoa powder among its primary components. Milk protein concentrate is a dairy byproduct produced by ultrafiltration of skim milk, a cheaper protein source than whey isolate that allows a manufacturer to reach a target protein gram count on a nutrition label at lower ingredient cost. The protein figure on the front of the current muscle milk can is 32 grams per serving. The 2010 lead findings, at 27 times the Proposition 65 ceiling, are not referenced anywhere in current Hormel communications about the product line. Premier Protein, Bell Ring Brands. Premier Protein is among the 3 best-selling ready-to-drink protein products in U.S. retail by unit volume, according to SPIN's retail panel data from 2022. The product is manufactured by Bell Ring Brands, a company that Post Holdings spun out as an independent public entity in 2019. BellRing Brands reported $1.38 billion in net sales for fiscal year 2022, with Premier Protein accounting for the majority of that figure. In 2021, a class action lawsuit was filed against BellRing Brands in the Southern District of New York. The lawsuit alleged that Premier Protein systematically overstated its protein content using a measurement method, total nitrogen quantification by Kjeldahl analysis, that counts all nitrogen-containing compounds present in a product, not only functional protein nitrogen. Free amino acids, creatine, taurine, glycine, and other nitrogen-bearing compounds that are not intact protein register identically to whey protein under Kjeldahl analysis. If a manufacturer adds isolated free amino acids to a formula, the per-serving protein gram count on the label increases without adding protein the body can use for muscle protein synthesis, because free amino acids absorbed individually do not follow the same metabolic pathway as intact dietary protein. The lawsuit alleged that Premier Protein added glycine and taurine to its formula specifically to inflate the label protein figure. Glycine and taurine are both significantly cheaper per gram than whey protein isolate, making the substitution economically rational within a cost-optimized manufacturing framework. This practice, called amino acid spiking, is not prohibited under current FDA regulations, because the FDA has not updated its protein content measurement standard to require amino acid-specific nitrogen fractionation. BellRing Brands settled the lawsuit in 2022 for $4.5 million without admitting wrongdoing. The settlement required no formula change, no label revision, and no public disclosure about the ratio of free amino acids to intact protein in the current formulation. The current Premier Protein chocolate shake lists milk, dulse protein concentrate, sodium caseinate, and cocoa powder as primary ingredients. The front label states 30 grams of protein per serving. BellRing Brands does not publish third-party batch testing results for protein content accuracy on any consumer-facing website or platform. The settlement amount of $4.5 million represents approximately 0.3% of BellRing Brands' 2022 net revenue. Gold Standard 100%. Whey, Optimum Nutrition / Glanbia. Optimum Nutrition's Gold Standard 100%. Whey is the best-selling protein powder in the United States by unit volume, according to SPINS data from 2022. The product is owned by Glanbia, an Irish food ingredients conglomerate that acquired Optimum Nutrition in 2008 for $325 million. Glanbia also owns ThinkThin, IsoPure, SlimFast, and Amazing Grass, giving it the highest portfolio concentration in the U.S. sports nutrition segment of any single parent company currently operating in that category. The Clean Label Project's 2023 testing found detectable BPA in Optimum Nutrition, Gold Standard 100% whey. BPA reaches dairy-derived protein products through the processing infrastructure, not through raw milk. Whey, the liquid byproduct of cheese production, is separated from curd and then moved through polymer-lined holding tanks, reverse osmosis membranes, and ultrafiltration systems before it is concentrated, spray-dried, and bagged. Each of those surfaces is a potential BPA migration point, because BPA is a monomer used in the production of polycarbonate plastics and epoxy resins, and it migrates from those materials into food and liquids that contact them, particularly under elevated temperature or pressure conditions present in industrial processing. The Clean Label Project's 2023 report found that dairy-based protein powders as a category had higher average BPA detection rates than plant-based protein powders in the same test pool, a result consistent with dairy processing infrastructure as the primary contamination pathway rather than final packaging. The front label of Gold Standard 100% whey states 24 grams protein and lists whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, and whey peptides as the primary protein sources. FDA ingredient. Labeling rules require listing by descending weight, so whey protein isolate, listed first, is present at the highest weight fraction of the three. Whey concentrate and peptides follow in the label order, meaning the formula blends all three at proportions the manufacturer does not disclose on the label or in any publicly accessible document. Whey concentrate retains more lactose and fat than isolate and costs less per gram of protein. Peptides are partially hydrolyzed whey, which increases processing cost but improves absorption speed marketing claims. The ratio among the three determines what the consumer is actually paying for, and that ratio is proprietary. Glanbia does not publish certificates of analysis for gold standard batches on any consumer-facing platform. Glanbia's annual report for fiscal year 2022 does not reference the Clean Label Project findings. Isopure Zero Carb Glanbia. Isopure Zero Carb is also a Glanbia product, positioned at the premium end of the whey category under a brand identity organized around the word pure. The product is marketed as 100% whey protein isolate with zero carbohydrates and zero fat, and the front label applies the word pure in the brand name, the product name, and the tagline. A 454-gram container of Isopure Zero Carb retailed at approximately $29.98 at major U.S. outlets in 2023. The Clean Label Project's 2023 testing found detectable BPA in Isopure products. Isopure is whey isolate, which undergoes more filtration stages than whey concentrate to remove the lactose and fat that concentrate retains. Each additional filtration membrane in that process is an additional plastic contact surface through which liquid whey passes under pressure. The BPA migration risk accumulates with each processing stage, not despite the additional purification, but partly because of it. The FDA has not established a permitted BPA level for dietary supplements because supplements are not regulated under the Food Contaminant Threshold Framework, codified in 21 CFR Part 109. A supplement manufacturer has no legal requirement to test for BPA, no legal requirement to disclose BPA findings if testing is conducted, and no legal requirement to label a product with BPA contamination data. The regulatory gap between what independent laboratory testing can detect and what labeling is required to communicate is not an oversight in the 1994 DSHEA framework. It is the intended structure of a law written to reduce the regulatory burden on the supplement industry, and that structure has remained unchanged through 7 presidential administrations. Glanbia has not issued a public response to the Clean Label Project's 2023 findings for the Isopure line. The FDA has not taken enforcement action against Isopure regarding BPA content following the 2023 report. The product remains on shelves under the same brand identity language, pure, that appeared on the label before the independent testing was published. Glanbia's 2022 annual report lists Isopure as a growth brand within its Glanbia Performance Nutrition segment and does not reference contaminant testing outcomes for the line. Shakeology, Beachbody/BODI. Shakeology is distributed exclusively through Beachbody's multi-level marketing network. Rebranded as BODI in 2023. The product's price is approximately $130 for a 30-serving bag. That price point reflects the distributor commission margin built into the retail figure before the consumer pays it. The MLM distribution structure requires that the price paid by the end buyer support both the company's margin and the commission structure for every distributor in the sales chain above the transaction. Beachbody went public via SPAC merger in 2021 at a valuation of approximately $2.9 billion. The company reported a net loss of $412.8 million for fiscal year 2022 in its SEC Form 10-K filing for that period. Shakeology remained the company's primary supplement revenue source through that fiscal year. The Clean Label Project's 2023 protein powder testing found detectable lead, cadmium, and BPA in Shakeology. Lead and cadmium are heavy metals that accumulate in bone tissue with repeated exposure over time. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies cadmium as a Group 1 carcinogen, the classification reserved for substances with sufficient evidence of causing cancer in humans, based on findings from occupational exposure studies. IARC issued that classification in 1993. It has not been revised downward. The presence of cadmium in a product marketed as daily nutritional support for athletic performance and general wellness is a finding with a specific clinical context that the Clean Label Project's report, documents, and Beachbody's marketing does not address. Shakeology's marketing materials describe a proprietary superfood blend that includes adaptogens, digestive enzymes, prebiotics, and a phytonutrient complex sourced from multiple plant species. Beachbody does not disclose the per-ingredient dosages within that blend, citing trade secret protection for the formulation. The clinical studies referenced in Shakeology marketing examine individual ingredients in isolation at doses that may or may not correspond to the amounts present in the Shakeology formula. None of the referenced studies were conducted on the Shakeology product itself. The Federal Trade Commission sent a warning letter to Beachbody in 2012, citing unsubstantiated health claims in Shakeology marketing, including claims that the product could reduce cardiovascular disease risk and lower cholesterol levels. Beachbody revised some of its marketing language in direct response to that letter. The distributor network, made up of individual salespeople operating within the MLM structure, continued to circulate health claims that tracked the pre-revision language. The FTC does not monitor individual distributor claims at the account level, and no mechanism within the MLM compliance structure has been publicly documented to have closed that gap. At $130 per bag, Shakeology is the most expensive product in this investigation. It also carries the most documented contamination findings per dollar spent of any product covered here. The one that cleared the standard. Thorne Whey Protein Isolate. Thorne Research is a supplement manufacturer that has operated since 1984. The company holds NSF Certified for Sport certification on its whey protein isolate product. NSF Certified for Sport is a third-party certification program administered by NSF International, an independent public health and safety organization. The certification requires independent laboratory testing of each commercial production batch, not a representative sample submitted specifically for certification purposes, but the actual lot number available for sale at retail. That distinction matters because a manufacturer can submit a specially prepared sample for a one-time certification test and then alter the production formula for the commercial run. NSF Certified for Sport's batch-level testing requirement forecloses that gap. Testing covers label accuracy for protein content, contaminant screening for heavy metals and BPA, and a panel of more than 270 substances prohibited by the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and the World Anti-Doping Agency. A production lot that fails any of those tests does not ship under the NSF mark. Thorne publishes its certification status and the relevant lot numbers on the NSF website, where they are searchable by consumers before purchase. The Thorne Whey Protein Isolate ingredient panel lists 4 ingredients: whey protein isolate, sunflower lecithin, natural vanilla flavor, and monk fruit extract. The protein source is whey isolate from U.S. dairy. The formula does not contain milk protein concentrate, sodium caseinate, calcium caseinate, or added free amino acids. There is no proprietary blend with undisclosed individual dosages. The per-serving protein content has been verified by an external laboratory whose findings are tied to a specific lot number and are accessible to the public before the product is consumed. Thorne does not disclose the geographic source of its dairy at the farm level, which is a real limitation for consumers trying to verify supply chain standards beyond the ingredient and contaminant layer. The NSF certification does not cover animal welfare conditions at dairy farms. What it does cover, label accuracy, contaminant levels, and banned substance presence, is the verification layer that every other product in this investigation chose not to obtain. That choice cost Thorne money per batch in external testing fees. It is documented expenditure toward consumer verification that no law required the company to make. The Dietary Supplement, Health and Education Act of 1994 removed protein powders from the pre-market safety and efficacy review the FDA applies to food additives and pharmaceuticals. Under that framework, a manufacturer can place a protein supplement on a retail shelf with a protein content claim without verifying the accuracy of that claim through independent testing, without testing for lead, cadmium, or arsenic, without testing for BPA, without disclosing the source country of raw material inputs, the proportion of individual ingredients within a proprietary blend, or the ratio of intact protein to free amino acids behind a gram count on the label. The 5 products covered in this investigation are not regulatory outliers. They are the protein supplement category at its highest commercial volume. The products most people reach for because retail shelf presence, digital marketing spend, and athlete endorsement contracts create an impression that market scale corresponds to product quality. The Clean Label Project's 2023 testing, Consumer Lab's 2010 findings, and the federal court record from Bellring Brand's 2022 settlement all sit in publicly accessible documents. None of them appear in the marketing materials of the products they document. The one product that cleared every threshold in this investigation did so by paying for external testing that no law required it to obtain, under a certification framework built specifically because the 1994 law left that verification gap open. That gap has been open for over 30 years, and the products that benefit most from keeping it open are the ones spending the most on the marketing that fills it.